Can you all hear me? Yeah. So thanks for coming today. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sharon's son Billy, and I am the luckiest guy in the world. I wasn't feeling so lucky on this day 2 weeks ago, or for the last 14 years, but I, like all of you in this room, was lucky enough to know one of the truly special people that this world has ever produced. For those of you who don't know, my mom was never actually supposed to be born. My grandma Ann had already had 3 kids, and she was on birth control once she found out she was pregnant with my mom. So if you look at the slideshow to my right, there's no doubt you've seen that signature megawatt smile my mom was known for. Grandma always says she was smiling when she snuck past the birth control. And she's been giving off that big smile ever since. It's safe to say that although she may not have felt it when she first realized she was pregnant, she must feel pretty lucky to have had such a wonderful daughter. And they always shared a very special relationship. Then again, my mom was somewhat of an expert on special relationships. Her and my dad met when she was 11 and he was 14, and she was pretty scared of him. I have that on multiple recordings. He had already topped out at 6 feet, and he had a beard and a husky deep voice. I mean, I don't even have a beard to this day, so I don't know what happened there. Mom and Grandma, for that matter, weren't too happy with my Uncle Bob's new best friend. But just a reminder for those of us who are a little younger in the crowd, there was no internet back then, so you kind of had to hang out with other kids in your neighborhood and your friends. So my mom and dad became close friends. And when she turned 16, he took her out to see Fast Times at Ridgemont Mile. And they spent the next 38 years together, sharing a love that was truly beautiful. My mom believed in true love, and she believed in the power of love, and she loved my dad with all of her heart. She used to love showing me her high school notebooks, because she really kept everything. And with all of her doodles, and they would say Sharon and Bill forever with a real 4. And, Sharon and Bill equals true love always. Sharon Davis, Mrs. Davis. I mean, she had her signature down since 1983. She was ready. Like most things, she was right to bet on him. She took Big Bad Bill and made him Sweet William, which is a quote from one of her favorite Van Halen songs. And what a dad and a husband he turned out to be. They were married in 1991, and he may be the only guy in here who can argue that he's luckier than I am. I was born in 1993 into a house full of love. We were inseparable, my mom and I. That is, she would never let me go anywhere, and I never wanted to go anywhere she wasn't anywhere. She read to me, she sang to me, she danced with me. When she finally decided to leave me with a babysitter when I was 2 or so, it nearly broke both of our hearts. She loved to tell the story. She left me at Nancy, was our babysitter's house, and I was wailing, crying, and losing it. And the house had a big glass door on the way out to the driveway, and I ran up to it, and I was banging against it, bawling, just trying to knock the whole door down to get to her. She always said she could still hear me crying while she was backing out of the driveway, just crying herself. She didn't want to leave me there. She was always there for us. She was always a team mom for baseball. She was the PTA treasurer in elementary school. She was a guaranteed volunteer on all field trips, even the one to the reclamation center. Not her favorite, but she did.
Twice.
Twice, yeah, she went twice. She was the box tops coordinator for years, even after we graduated, because she just couldn't stand to let people down. And in 3rd grade, our librarian quit, and she just hopped in and took over 2 days a week to become the librarian for the school. No experience, she just did it. I used to eat lunch with her every Tuesday and Thursday. She'd get worried that I'd get embarrassed, but I knew I had the best mom around, and I was never embarrassed. She used to leave me little notes in my lunchbox with smiley faces. Have a nice day, honey, I love you. She was always happy to have my friends stay over, and even though a lot of them are actually spread out across the world these days, none could make it, They've all reached out to express the way she always made them feel as welcome as her own kids in her home. When a friend's mom was killed in the 4th grade, she started packing my lunch double every day until we went to middle school, just to make sure that he didn't get hungry, because that's the type of person she always was. There was something so genuine about my mom. You know, my wife Isaias and I were reminiscing on this about a week ago, and I mentioned that she never sugarcoated herself. And Isaias said, "Of course not. You can't sugarcoat pure sugar." She was the definition of a sweetheart. She lived her life like she wanted to. We all know she loves pink, Diet Coke, milk chocolates, her cats, particularly, and her family. But did you know that she also loves fast cars?
Yes.
She drove an '06 Mustang for the last 15 years of her life. She had an '87 Camaro until I came along and ruined that. And she even drove a '69 Chevy Chevelle in high school. I want to add a little story about that Chevelle. She's actually 1-0 in drag races, undefeated. There was a kid in school whose parents bought him a new Pontiac Firebird, and he thought he was hot stuff. He was racing everybody down the lane, and he challenged everyone in school. And she knew that her car didn't look like much, but it was fast. So she challenged him to a race, and he thought he had it in the bag. She smoked him in front of the whole school. Yeah, she was actually voted class gearhead in 1984. She definitely had that toughness in her when pressed. She was a mellow person, and she didn't get mad too often. But when she did, you could always tell by the way she pressed her lips together. Once when we were driving over to Howard Franklin on some errand, she was not a Florida native, so she did not ever really get used to driving over the bridges. And she always got a little anxious in doing so. And my cousin Maria and I were fighting in the back seat over an actual can of cat food. I wanted to read it. Maria didn't want to let me do anything I wanted to do. So, after multiple attempts to get us to stop, she pulled her car over on the side of the bridge, got out, got into the back seat, ripped the can of cat food out of her hands, and chucked it into the actual bay. She had a special way about her. She had a special outlook that was visible to everyone she met. She had an uncanny ability to befriend strangers wherever she'd go. 50% of it had to be that smile, which has stopped over there. Let me go restart that. But the other half was probably the way she approached each and every day. She always believed that the best would happen. Even in the darkest of times, she was a positive force that just refused to quit. She made the most mundane tasks seem fun. There was no place where we went where we weren't singing something at the top of our lungs on the car ride there. I mean, a 5-minute drive to the grocery store, because we live 2 minutes from Winn-Dixie, but it was a 5-minute drive, would include a full rendition of REO's Speedwagon's Roll with the Changes. She was the type of person to sit in the car and complete the song when she was done before we went inside. So you stop and wait and finish it because she was on a roll. That positivity made everyone from cashiers to pharmacists to her employers, even to the doctors who treated her, feel a certain special connection to her wherever she would go. And she'd either already have a friend when she got there, or she'd make one. Who am I kidding though? You all know that. I see a lot of chicas in the room tonight. I wanted to give you a special shout out, because after her first bout with breast cancer, she wanted to walk in the breast cancer 3-day. And my poor dad would get home from moving furniture for 8 or 9 hours and go train with her. Finally, they bumped into one of the chicas training at Seminole Park, and they were off. You all created a special kind of family for her, one that was formed around love, grief, determination, and triumph. And I just want to thank you all for that, what you did for her, what you've done for anyone who's battled this awful disease. She cherished every moment out there, and walking in the 3-day 3 times showed her a strength which, quite frankly, none of us knew she had. Lucky for her, lucky for you all, and lucky for my dad's knees, they found you guys out there. In closing, love was the overarching theme of her life. Love for her family, her husband, her children, her friends near and far. She loved her coworkers. She especially loved her cats, and she even loved some of her coworkers' cats. She loved everyone, and she believed in second chances. She believed that love could and would change the world. Love was stronger than hate. She believed that if you love something, you should fight for it. She believed that we could conquer our greatest challenges with love and a big, beautiful smile. So when you're feeling sad, when life is getting you down, when it seems like you don't have anything left in the tank, remember that you were one of the lucky ones that she loved. Put a smile on and keep going. It's going to be all right. Thank you.
Oh, that was beautiful, really.
I'm just gonna read a poem because I can't do anything else. Alrighty. It's so difficult to write a poem for you, my mother, my fellow cat lover, my best friend. But I will try to do you justice by thanking you for all the sacrifices that you've made, and for all the memories that will never escape my mind. Thank you for telling me stories of your childhood in Middletown, Connecticut, where a classmate gave you stitches after pulling out your chair from under you, where your older brother was a constant nuisance, and where you met and befriended a bad boy named Bill. Thank you for the countless Disney trips when we were kids, for filling up my cup to the rim with joyous moments like the endless summers in our pool in the backyard. Thank you for never judging me for truly being myself, and for always singing along in the car with me, whether it was to Journey or to Justin Bieber. I'll never forget the Van Halen concert, where the lead singer wore assless chaps, and we laughed until the muscles in our stomachs cramped, and we just kept singing anyway. Thank you for always caring for me when I needed you, whether it was for skin knees in Tennessee or skin knees for tripping over my own big feet. You were always there. Thank you for teaching me how to be frugal, patient, and kind, for showing me how strong a person can be despite the constant radiation, chemo, and not so great news. Thank you for worrying about me, even though you did it too much. I think that we could talk for forever. The connection we shared is unbreakable. I will never, ever stop missing you. Sorry. Your laugh, your voice, your toothy grin, and your hugs. I love you always, Mom. Thank you.
Those of you that don't know me, I'm Joanna. I was Sharon's best friend since we were young teenagers. I was with her brother Bob for 19 years, and we raised our children together. Maria's my daughter. Hold on one second. Try not to cry because I know that's one thing that she hated, that she didn't hate anything else. She hated teachers. I knew today was going to be a difficult day for all of us, and I thought hard on what I was going to write for her. To me, nothing can be said that would surmount what she deserves. So I came across this quote that read, "A true friend is never truly gone. Their spirit lives in the lives in the memories of those who love them." I have a lifetime of memories with Sharon. There are so many going through my head of all these years, like the night that we found out Bill really liked her, when we were painting her room a grown-up color besides purple. The excitement of her first car, the banana. When she was voted in as president of our sorority club, that photo that you saw of her with the young girl with the candle, that was her initiation into an acceptance into the presidency. When she flew down from Connecticut and hid in my garage as my surprise birthday gift. To me, she was one of the best gifts I ever received in life. As I look back on all these years filled with memories, I think to myself, I have not one bad memory of her, not a single one. She was quite simply the sweetest, kindest person ever born. We all know that, and lucky for me, that I have so many memories to keep in my heart and to cherish forever. You know, the good friends are the ones who know our hearts, our minds, and choose us as their friends anyways. They understand you. Her and I were the complete opposites, Laverne and Shirley. We used to watch that show all the time and say, "Yup, that was us, yin and yang." She was the calm and I was the storm. I could be doing the most off-the-wall thing and she would always be down for that ride, and I loved her for it. She really was my ride or die, and the most non-judgmental, sweetest person anyone would be lucky enough to know. There were times when she taught me kindness and patience, and she kind of rubbed off on me with that. Sharon, I know you're here watching us from above, and I want you to know I'm a better person for knowing you, better for loving you, better for having you in my life. May you be as blessed in the next life as I was in this one by having you be such a big part of mine. Thank you and I love you. Bill, Mom, Billy, Logan, I'm sorry for the loss of Sharon, for everything they've all been through and that you're still going through. Sharon was so blessed to have such love, care, and devotion to her. Most of us would be so lucky to have that. Thank you.
I met the Davis family about 6 years ago when I met Logan. And it was 2 years after I lost my father to cancer. And the resulting people that filled that hole in my life, I will be eternally grateful for, including Sharon, Bill, and Billy, Logan, and many of you in here. And so for that, I really do thank you all. Sharon was one of, if not the nicest person I've ever met. Her care, her love, and nurture extended beyond the ordinary bounds of my expectations for a person. It sticks out as one of her fundamental traits. She was incredibly good at loving others. I have a few memories I want to share with her, about her with you all. We would watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune every night when I got off of work, most nights when I got off of work. And it was a good way to de-stress, and it was a great way to bond with her. She was incredibly good at Wheel. I was pretty good at Jeopardy, so it was a pretty good combo. Because we were like, how did you even get that? There were like 3 letters on the screen. Thank Pat Sajak. Game nights, whether they be with family or friends, were fraught with allegations of cheating because Sharon was so good at Uno. How are you good at Uno? I ask you. There's no, it's pretty much random chance. She knew a meta that none of us were aware of. It was to the point where we wouldn't even want to sit next to her because, you know, she'd be pounding out those +4s and like, I don't even think there are many in the deck. She was just that good. Going for our bike rides or our nightly walks always kept her strong, always kept her moving. That one New Year's Eve when she had a little bit too much Fireball. And it was like one of the first times I'd seen her in like a, you know, a social setting like that, and she was so terrified that I'd impressed upon the thought that she was a drunk or something. She was some kind of party animal. After that, I wouldn't see her get really that wasted again, but I definitely did see her when she enjoyed a wine cooler on game night. She was still quite the party animal. She helped me do my taxes for the first time. She was a great accountant. She taught me about itemized deductions, which saved me a lot of money. Her personality was the embodiment of fun and joy and love. She knew how to bring people up and how to have a good time. And she was my confidant, she was a friend, she was a mother, and I loved her.
I have some stories to tell that are just too good not to. The first time I met Sharon, for those of you who don't know, my name's Mercedes. I'm Billy's wife. And Sharon was my second mom. But the first time I met her, I came to her house and she tried to kill me. I was so worked up and so anxious over coming to meet my boyfriend's parents for the first time that she was like, "Oh, don't worry, I've got you. Take these Tums, they're not pills, they're these little packets that you just put under your tongue." So she secluded me from everyone. She took me outside to the back porch. She's like, "Don't worry, honey, just put this under your tongue. And you just let it dissolve." And I did. And she said something, and the powder just went everywhere. It went up my nose, it went down my throat. And she started laughing, and she was checking the package. She's like, "Oh, this is expired." I guess now you know what could happen. So she was sweet, and her smile was infectious, and you just had to look at her, and your whole heart would swell. You know, she taught me a lot of things, and most of it was how to not be so abrasive, because she was just the softest, the most gentle, most yielding woman I think I'll ever probably meet. She's the person who told me and showed me how to put a tampon in. She was very gentle and very comforting when I was like, "Are you sure this ring's not going to go somewhere? Are you sure I'm going to be able to find it?" Sure enough, she was right. You know, the first time I ever experienced Disney or experienced the tradition of spending 4 hours on Christmas morning opening a present one by one, just to find out that she had double, triple, wrapped it 5 times just to get a hand sanitizer. And you had to wait those 20 minutes just to be able to open your hand sanitizer. You know, I'm not a cat person, but Sharon had a love for cats, and I think forever now I will see a cat and I will think of her. And I'll see anything pink and I'll think of her, and I'll see flowers and I'll think of her. I think most of the time, when I truly smile and feel happy, I'll always think of her. And I just wish she was here to be able to feel all the love that we have for her in this room, for her to be able to smell all the flowers. But I know she's always going to be with us. She made 2 beautiful children. She left behind such a beautiful family that I'm so lucky to be a part of. So thank you guys all for coming, and for loving her, and for walking with her, and just for being with her.
So I feel like Mercedes, I just have to say something. When Billy said his mom wouldn't leave him alone anywhere, he is so absolutely right, because that is how Sharon and I became friends. My son had his 4th birthday party, and my son was the person who comforted Billy at the daycare because he didn't want to be there, so Billy got invited. I had 10 4-year-olds with my backyard decorated for Winnie the Pooh, and our babysitter at the time was kind enough to appear in a Winnie the Pooh outfit, which my son was completely scared of, and Billy saved him that time. Sharon was the only mother out of the 10 that dropped off the children who said, "Do you mind if I stay? I don't want to leave my son alone." I'm like, hallelujah, thank you. The very next day, we ended up going on a bike ride to Fort DeSoto. And lo and behold, who comes that way It was Bill, Billy, and Sharon, and we're like, oh my Lord. So we had a barbecue or a little picnic together. I don't know if you remember that. But literally from that day on, Billy and my son Eric became best friends. And Eric sends his regards. He's in Germany, he can't be here. My whole family's in Germany. I didn't have family here, but I did have the Davis family. You guys have adopted us. We were at all of your family events. My children adopted Aniva as their spare grandmother. We have gone through thick and thin together, and Sharon and I one time calculated out how many miles we lugged around Crescent Lake. Because we would drop off the boys at daycare, and our little ones were in strollers, and we would load the strollers in the car, drive to Crescent Lake, and we calculated at some point back, maybe 5 years back, that we lugged at least 4,000 miles around Crescent Lake. And for those of you who don't know the lake, it's a 1 mile round. And we went there, walking and talking. It wasn't so much for the exercise, but we were not done talking after 3 miles. We had to do more. Oftentimes the kids came with, sometimes they decided to stay at the playground. It's been an absolutely phenomenal 24-year friendship. And when I woke up to the message that she was no longer here, the only saving grace I had was that she doesn't have to fight anymore. She fought, and some of us have shirts that says fight like a girl. She fought like a girl. I got to meet the Chicas because I too helped out with Bill's niece, training with her for the walk, and I am so very happy that I got to experience Sharon in my life, and she will always be there. She taught me a lot of things.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. I just want to say Sharon was the most special person in my life. She changed my life forever. I'm going to miss her dearly. That's all I got to say.